What is going on, everybody? I am so excited to talk about today's movie, and that's going to be Weird, the Al Yankovic story on 4K, presented by Shout Studios, originally produced by Roku. Stay tuned. All right, everybody. I am over the moon to talk about this movie. Again, we're going to be talking about Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Let me go ahead and show you guys the steelbook. I picked this up actually at Walmart. They had it at the end cap display. Here is the J card with all of the details on here. There is the J card itself. And I went ahead, you aren't going to see any discs, but it does come with one Blu-ray and one 4K. There's the inside of the steelbook, and there's the outside. Pretty big fan of it. It's a little bit simplistic, but I mean, I'm just over the moon that I got this movie. So I want to talk about the movie itself before I go into the actual package, what the contents are, and then what we usually do from here. So the movie is presented in 5.1 audio, 4K Ultra HD with Dolby Vision, and it also does have Dolby Atmos. So in regards to the experience that I had, I am going to go on record and say that this is one of the greatest parody movies of all time. This movie is absolutely phenomenal. I had an absolutely amazing time with this. It was a blind buy. I heard great word of mouth. I know a lot of people, I believe it was Umbrella that put out the other Weird Al Yankovic set that came out a little bit ago. I want to say this came out towards the tail end of last year, maybe the turn of this year. But I was not expecting what I got. I know that it was supposed to be a parody of biopics, and I kind of anticipated it to not be that serious, being that it's about Weird Al. You know, Weird Al has a very special place in my heart. He's got some great music. He's also just a very wholesome, great, wonderful guy. He's just super positive. You know, he just loves, you know, making people laugh. He loves, like, he's just a really goofy dude, right? So I knew I was in for a trip, especially Daniel Radcliffe. As Weird Al was my first biggest sign. I highly recommend, if somebody hasn't, to dig deeper into Daniel Radcliffe's post-Harry Potter filmography, such as, I believe he was in Swiss Army Man and Guns Akimbo are two biggest examples that I think of. I just think the dude just absolutely cherry picks what he wants to do to just have fun, and that's kind of what you get out of this. Once I knew Daniel Radcliffe was in it, I knew I was in for a treat. You also have Evan Rachel Wood, I believe is her name, as Madonna in the movie, and you have Weird Al playing himself, or not himself. He plays like a studio exec, so, or like a music label executive. So I had such a good time with this movie. The Atmos sounded really good, especially during the concert parts, everything like that. It was an absolute romp. Like, everything about this, like, just was so good. And, like, there's a part where they're at the diner, or like the dinner table scene. This is like one of the opening scenes, and they're like talking to him, and I knew I was in for an absolute treat whenever they were talking about to Weird Al, and he was talking about how he wants to be, like, you know, something different. He doesn't want to necessarily go and work at the factory. And then his mom says something along the lines of, you know, it's time that you stop being who you want to be and, like, you know, trying to chase who you are. He just, like, puts him down on the spot, and it was just goofy. It's an absolute parody through and through. And, like, there's even a part, like, one of his biggest fans, and he has a pretty prevalent role to a degree, is freaking Pablo Escobar. So if that doesn't sell you on the movie, I don't know what will. This movie from front to back is just so freaking hilarious. I watched it twice. I watched it just a few days ago, and I watched it just right before recording this because I had such a good time. It's so funny. It's so well made, especially for a Roku original. I wasn't expecting too much in the production value department, but then there's a whole party with a lot of cameos and stuff like that, you know, you could definitely tell that they had an immense amount of love poured into this, especially with it being Weird Al Yankovic, right? He just plays an absolutely stellar role, you know. So it's about, like, you know, it has some truth in there, but there's really nothing that I can really pinpoint to take really seriously outside of maybe some of the ways that some of the songs were created, which, doing some further research, even then had some, like, you know, truth kind of spun to it and stuff like that, as goofy and as parodying it was trying to be. So through and through, from front to back, the movie is a solid 9.5. I really do mean that. This movie is so good. I highly recommend everybody check it out. You'll really have a great time. You'll really have a really, really fun time. There's really not much room for improvement. It's really fun. It's really goofy. It just really took me by surprise, and maybe going in absolutely blind, never seeing a trailer, just knowing who the cast is. Maybe that is what gave me such a good experience. Even like buying the Steelbook, I blind bought it. I knew I wanted it, but I didn't want to get that umbrella copy because of the price point for it. So saw this on the shelf and went ahead and got that. So to talk about what's presented in the package, or let's go a little bit more into the Atmos and stuff. It sounds very crisp. Dialogue is very, very nice and EQ'd. And then especially some of the way that the upfiring speakers and everything like that on the system that I'm using, it sounded really good during some of the concert scenes. Like whenever he's performing Amish Paradise is so fun. So good. The HDR definitely has some nice vibrant colors to it, especially it doesn't necessarily carry it. Like this isn't going to be a disc that you have to have on 4K. I think you can have just as much fun just getting the Blu-ray as well. So there's no need to necessarily just go out and get it unless you have an amazing audio setup. Then by all means go ahead and go for it. But I don't think it's necessarily necessary to have specifically the 4K just to have the 4K. I think you should be watching this in any way, shape, or form that you can get a hold of it just to experience a really fun, goofy, fun movie. So with the contents on the package, so the bonus features left quite a bit to be desired. You know, I always say that, but this time I genuinely mean it, because some of them kind of caught my attention. The audio commentary with Weird Al Yankovic, absolutely funny, absolutely worth the time. That was absolutely fun, really goofy, really like just comedic through and through. Weird Al is like I say, like he is just such a character in the best way possible. He's such a wholesome person, right? He's just so good. He's so goofy. He walks amongst us just to make us laugh, and and he's just a good guy. So I love listening to him. So it does also have deleted extended alternate scenes hosted by Al Yankovic and Eric Appel, who is the director. So this was actually pretty well presented. You know, they have kind of like a little interview section going on, and then they'll kind of talk about it a little bit. Not necessarily a commentary style, but they'll kind of give you a little bit of directive and then show it, versus your typical deleted scenes where it just goes, right? I did have a fun time with that, and it runs just south of about 30 minutes. So that was really, really good. Featurette on the making of Weird. I really thought I was going to get more out of that, but I think it's like sub 10 minutes and really didn't let me know a whole lot. It just kind of tells you that it's just, there was really no budget for this movie, which is awesome. You know, you can just tell people kind of did it to have fun and put out a good movie and make people laugh. And I appreciate that. So I can't really hate too much on that being too short, as much as I desired more. Then it has an interview with Late Night with Seth Meyers, and they interview Weird Al and Daniel Radcliffe. Had a good time watching that. Runs about 10 minutes, but again, that's not anything that you can't just find on YouTube. Then there's another one, a Variety.com interview with Daniel Radcliffe, Evan Rachel Wood, and Eric Appel at the Toronto International Film Festival. Again, another thing that you could probably just find on YouTube, but still fun. And then the lyric video, and then trailers. I didn't check out the trailers like I normally do. But yeah, as a whole package, whenever it comes to the 4K itself, it's like I said, you don't necessarily need to flock to the streets and get just the 4K. If you could get a Blu-ray or even just streaming it, I think that's perfectly fine as well. I just recommend people watch a good movie, and this is a really good movie to go out there and, you know, spend some time. If you're experiencing like inclemental weather that's going on lately, by all means, shut yourself in and have a good time with this. I'm sure I'll be watching you talk about it in the Discord or anything like that. It was a really, really fun movie through and through. But then the 4K as a package, I'd probably give it about a 7.5. It leaves a lot to be desired in the bonus featurettes, but also at the same time for what's on there, it still wasn't enough for me, because some of the things I got excited just seeing the name of the featurettes, it really didn't do a whole lot for me. So the movie itself, absolutely. I'm super glad I got the 4K of it. I can watch it in the best way possible. And that's because I fell in love with the movie like a third of the way through. I just was glued to the screen. I was laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing and just having an absolutely wonderful time. So again, my recommendation on the movie itself is going to be about a strong 9, 9.5. I really do mean that. I had a wonderful time, went in blind, and it just blew my socks off. And I just highly recommend you watch this movie any which way you can. I know it is a Roku original, so if you have a Roku stick, you can probably watch it completely free. I don't think it costs anything. I could be wrong. Please correct me in the comments if I am wrong. Otherwise, if you can get this on sale or you can find a secondhand copy, you can find any which way of getting a hold of the movie, I just recommend you getting a hold of it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I was so excited to talk to you guys about it. God, this movie was so good. Just so excited to talk to you guys about it, let you know my thoughts and everything like that. Sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Did you get the 4K, or maybe you just streamed it? Maybe you're just here curious, maybe potentially buying it, and you're just curious about it, and maybe you've already seen it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. I'd love to just talk to more people about this movie. I feel like it's super underrated, and it's a little bit of a hidden gem. Till next time, guys, stay tuned for more great content from Screen to Shelf. Stay tuned. Later.